New battle. We've been fighting this for years and years. When I was a brand new teacher, a few miles away from here at at Dawnwood Junior High School at that time, I was teaching a speech and debate course. And we decided to have as one of our topics the Roe v. Wade debate that was going on at that time. It had not been settled law yet. And I was called to the principal's office. And there was the head of the Board of Education, the superintendent for curriculum, the principal, the vice principal, and 22-year-old me. And they said, you have to take that off the list of topics. I was an untenured teacher. And I said to all these men, if you want to tell my students that they do not have freedom of speech, then you go to my classroom and you tell my kids. And I would not back down. So the principal and the superintendent came to my classroom, and my kids could see how shaken I was, but I don't cry, baby. And the principal went to the board, because in those days it wasn't those whiteboards, it was chalk and slate, and he erased Roe v. Wade from the board. Now, I had a student in my class whose mother was the New York State president of NOW. That night was parent-teacher night. There were parents, filled up my classroom, filled up the hall outside of my classroom, lined up in the courtyard outside of my classroom because they all thought that I was going to be fired. But that was women standing for what was right. And that was women standing for free speech. And my fight did not start and stop then. I was a board member on the board of Planned Parenthood. I just resigned as a member because I was going to run for office. So that's how recently I was doing this. You know, another fight that I've been involved in, where I was on the line, was when we had a county executive who thought that his way to get a majority was to fearmonger about Latinos. And he had a law that was absolutely unconstitutional. The reporting mechanism was racial profiling. When I asked the county attorney, how will you know if contractors are hiring people who are undocumented? She actually, this is an attorney, actually said on the record, as people drive by and see them, they can report to us if they're undocumented. And I said, oh, how? By the color? In any case, that law was passed in the Suffolk County Legislature. I voted against it. But there were consequences again. Worse than when I supported a woman's right to talk about Roe v. Wade. As I was leaving the legislature, there was a crowd, and for the first time since I was 10 years old and moved from the Bronx to Manhattan, I was called a spick. I had calls and emails threatening my life. When I came home from driving my daughter home from her graduation from New Paltz, the next morning there was a pickup truck in front of my house for 5 hours with signs saying, "Deport Fisher." This shows their IQ level, doesn't it? I was a sitting legislator. Fisher supports criminals. Okay? This is what we face when we fight fear-mongering, when we fight xenophobia, when we fight those who put the next election before their morality. And this is why I want to beat Lee Zeldin. Jewish, Lee Zeldin is Jewish. Zeldin had no compunctions about forming a false equivalency between people who were marching in Charlottesville and Nazis. Zeldin has had no problem having Bannon as his keynote speaker at a fundraiser. Where is the decency? Where is the belief in who you are as a human being, not as a person who's going to run next year? I did not think I would be running for office, but I went to visit Lee Zeldin. I went to visit him to talk about the health care bill. He spoke to me in sound bites. I speak with passion. I speak with empathy. I saw none of that in Lee Zeldin. When I left his office, I was a little bit downtrodden, and I went to what I love, which is art. So I went to the Smithsonian, and I was looking at a painting called WPA Artists at Work. By the way, I created the Poet Laureate position in Suffolk County. I do love art. So I saw that painting, and I was recalling the budget that was proposed by Trump, which cut out funding for health research, for climate research, for the arts. In other words, I knew that we were facing an existential crisis. If you don't believe in arts and sciences and you have no empathy, who are you? We are better than that. We are all better than that. We believe in truth and curiosity and knowledge and empathy and decency and decorum. And that's what I want to bring to Washington, because that is what is missing. And before I leave this podium, I'm going to say to you, we need to talk to the people who are across the street carrying flags as if they were the only people here who matter.
No, we don't.
You're going to join
him. We don't need to talk to them.
Oh, no, because this is important, and I want you to follow me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. Thank you.